May 26, 2003. Flight UM Airlines 4230 was a non-scheduled flight from Manas International Airport, Bishkek, to Zaragoza. The Spanish Defense Ministry had chartered the aircraft from the Ukrainian UM Airlines, in order to return some of the Spanish troops, working as International Security Assistance Force peacekeepers in Afghanistan. A stopover was planned in Trabzon, a city on the coast of Black Sea, northeast of Turkey, because the range of the aircraft was not enough to flight directly from Bishkek to Zaragoza. The aircraft was a mid-range passenger jet Yakovlev Yak-42D, which has a capacity about 100 seats. It was developed in the mid-70s, and was the first airliner produced in the Soviet Union, and be powered by 3 modern high-bypass turbofan engines. The aircraft was manufactured in 1988, in Soviet Union, and it used to belong to the Ukrainian Mediterranean Airlines in that time. Everyone was happy with that flight, which would bring them to home after a hard duty in Afghanistan, but they were worried because of the state of the airplane which they must fly with. After the boarding of 62 passengers, the plane took off at 3:40 a.m. local time, from Bishkek International Airport, for the destination of Trabzon. The plane climbed to the cruising altitude without any incident. The whole flight was smooth and uneventful. The crew was doubled: 4 pilots, 2 flight engineers, 6 cabin crews and a flight inspector, in order to allow adequate rest for all of them, and was perfectly qualified, according to the Ukrainian Civil Aviation General Direction, with extensive flight experience. Commander Kutsenko has 6,150 hours of flight experience, of which 2,490 hours on Yakovlev 42. The first officer Slatvinsky has 3,659 hours flight experience, and the engineer Ferenc has total of 3,453 hours on his logbook. The cockpit voice recorder was damaged on the impact. Only the last 42 minutes of the conversation between the crew and the air traffic control tower could be recorded. These conversations have been reconstructed in this video. At 3:31 a.m. the crew attempted to contact Trabzon Tower for the first time, but the pilots were unsuccessful to contact with them. Despite 2 attempts, the crew could not receive any answer. Then, Ankara Control Center contacted with Trabzon Tower and asked the weather. Ankara Control Center is responsible for upper airspace and gives service to all aircrafts flying in its region, as shown in this picture. Then, Trabzon Tower reported the weather to the Ankara Control Center. The wind was 260 degrees at 6 knots, visibility more than 10 kilometers, temperature 18 degrees, QNH 1012, scattered clouds at 2,000 feet, and broken clouds at 3,000 feet. 4 minutes later, at 3:35 a.m., the crew finally contacted Trabzon Tower. They requested current weather and runway in service. Trabzon Tower informed the crew that wind is calm, runway in use is 11, visibility more than 10 kilometers, expect ILSDME approach for runway 11, and asked him to check their position. Then, the crew acknowledged the given information and reported that they were at 117 miles from Trabzon VOR, and confirmed to expect ILS approach for runway 11. Trabzon Airport is on the coast of Black Sea, and has a unique runway which is parallel to the sea. Because of its geographical situation, the direction of wind and the weather can change at any moment. The runway has 2 thresholds, 11 and 29, which provide 2 different approach and landing options. Runway 11 is equipped with ILS system, which provides to pilots precision runway approach aid, employing 2 radio beams with vertical and horizontal guidance during the landing approach. However, runway 29 does not have ILS system. Instead, only VORDME approach option is available. After making a VORDME approach, the crew must accomplish the landing with a circle-to-land procedure, by approaching visually. This is a very challenging task which requires more concentration. While the aircraft was approaching to its destination, Ankara Control Center called Trabzon Tower, and reported that the airplane had been cleared to descend 11,000 feet, on the airway Gulf 67. As the aircraft was approaching to Trabzon, something unexpected happened. The tower informed the crew that the wind had changed. It was 270 degrees at 12 knots. Now runway 29 is in use. The crew was advised to expect VORDME approach. While the aircraft was flying 24 miles from the airport, Trabzon Control Tower cleared the aircraft for VORDME approach for runway 29, and request the crew to descend and fly over the Trabzon VOR at an altitude of 6,000 feet. At 3:56 a.m., while crossing over the VOR, the pilot decided to do a manual descent, and disengaged the autopilot. The aircraft continued its descent in order to attempt the first approach. At 4:02 a.m., 7 miles inbound to Trabzon VOR, the aircraft started its first landing attempt for runway 29, with a right turn for final approach. After that, the pilots did not answer for 2 minutes, for a reason still unexplained, as the black box did not work. At this moment it is revealed that the aircraft was flying dangerously 584 feet above the ground, from a nearby highway. From this moment, the pilot's voice changed, so it is probably that the co-pilot who took the controls. At 4:05 a.m., the crew declared a go-around, and aborted the landing, due to unstable approach, under low visibility conditions. After the go-around, the crew reported their intention to make another VORDME approach. The tower told them to climb 6,000 feet and report while passing over Trabzon VOR. While passing over Trabzon VOR, somehow, the crew lost their sense of situational awareness, and could not continue to VORDME approach. In the dark night, without knowing what they do, the pilots of the Yak-42 fly directly to the south of the airport, where there are high mountains. At 4:13 a.m. the aircraft hit the hill on the south of the airport, where flying under 11,500 feet is strictly forbidden. All 62 passengers, and 13 crew members were killed instantly. As soon as the Yak-42 vanished from the radar screen, Trabzon approach controller informed Ankara Control Center that he had missed flight UM-4230, and the search and rescue services began immediately. The first person who reached the crash site, the Mount Palav, which is located more than 2,000 meters above sea level, was a villager man. He could not find any survivor. An air crash does not occur due to just one reason. It is a chain of events that come together at the same time. On July 29, 2005, the official accident report of flight UM-4230, prepared by the Turkish Civil Aviation General Directorate, was published. According to this report, the crew had a loss of situational awareness due to fatigue and stress. Situational awareness means knowing what is going on around, more technically, as the perception of the elements in the environment within a volume of time and space, the comprehension of their meaning, and the projection of their status in the near future. Last-minute change of runway due to wind could have put more stress on the crew. Probably, they did not have enough time to make a landing briefing. incorrect use of instruments and automatic flight systems by the crew, non-compliance with standard procedures, and approach made with lack of precision played very important role in the crash. In addition, insufficient airline flight-oriented training, lack of cabin resource management, and accident prevention during approach and landing could be among the major cause of this tragedy. And finally, descent below the minimum altitude in the zone, which caused an impact with ground, mustn't be forgotten. A memorial monument was built at the crash site, on behalf of the all victims of Flight UM 4230.